Galair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind.
Hello, Diegwich, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination in the GAA world. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go.
On Slice 44 I have the chats with two dubs. Firstly, Kilmacud Crokes, Dublin ladies senior football star and All-Ireland winner Ava Rutledge, and Raheny GAA man CJ O'Higgins. We chat all about Ava's time playing in Chicago with the Ashland Gaels, bitter rivalries at Bridget's over in the Windy City, the toughest players at both their clubs, the what might have been squad underage at Raheny with CJ, the growth of Meath and Westmeath ladies football, and the impact of Hannah Tyrrell and others in Dublin ladies GAA. Then we chat all about their latest product, Great Grip Gloves, an amazing dry weather GAA glove that is growing in popularity among the clubs and counties at all levels. And what about the future products and potential markets for the gloves? We'll find out all this and more. But first, as always, let's take a trip through the city of Chicago and find out everything there is to know about the Windy City. Bon Sultas. Welcome to Chicago, everybody. Today we are in the state of Illinois on the shores of Lake Michigan, the Windy City of Chicago. The name of Chicago comes from a tribal word, Chickaqua, a type of wild onion or wild garlic. The tribe were the Miami, Illinois, names you're probably familiar with. The Potawatomi people were the original in the 18th century before settlers of African, French and Canadian descent settled on the region. After the Treaty of Chicago in 1833, the Potawatomi people were sent away. In 1837, Chicago became a city, and for long periods was known to be the world's fastest growing. Having access to both railroad and waterways helped hugely with industry, movement of goods and services and people, and huge trading prospects grew as a result. Politics in the region at the time were vital in shaping the future of the country, and it could be argued the American Civil War began in the state of Illinois when one man from the area, Abraham Lincoln, challenged Senator Stephen Douglas over his pro-slavery attitude and defeated him, which ultimately pissed off many southern states. And so it began. Sadly, in 1871, much of the great work in the city was undone by the Great Chicago Fire. Wooden construction, hot weather, wind, not a great combination. Of course the fire though had to start in a barn owned by the O'Learys, an Irish immigrant family. In fact, the rumour is that it was Mrs. O'Leary's cow knocking over a lantern that started it. Catherine O'Leary would, regardless, spend the rest of her life being vilified for the event, and even has songs and poems written about her. Late one night when we were all in bed, old Mother Leary left a lantern in the shed, and when the cow kicked it over she winked her eye and said, "There'll be a hot time in the old town tonight." Like much of the early 20th century in America, Chicago suffered through events like the Great Depression in 1929 and 2 world wars. But one thing that really impacted Chicago was the 18th Amendment, banning of alcohol in the USA, better known as Prohibition. This brought about the gangster era of the city and created such iconic names like Bugs Moran and Al Capone. In fact, the two gang leaders were the subject of the St. Valentine's Day massacre of 1929, when Capone sent out gunmen to take out Moran's group. If you don't know much about Prohibition, perhaps watching the Simpsons episode on it would help with the historical accuracy, especially when it happened to coincide with St. Patrick's Day.
I need a pencil. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing is a total disregard for the things St. Patrick's Day stands for. All this drinking, violence, destruction of property. Are these the things we think of when we think of the Irish?
During World War II, the city produced more steel than anywhere in the world, and they were a major part of the Manhattan Project, with the first ever nuclear reaction happening at the University of Chicago laboratories. You may hear more about Chicago in further upcoming episodes, but just to finish, here are a few facts about Chicago to blow your mind, or bore you to death, whichever you prefer. Chicago is the home to the first skyscraper in the world, the 10-story Chicago Home Insurance Group building, as well as the tallest building in the world designed by a female, standing at 82 stories. The first brownie was made in Chicago, and the first open heart surgery happened there. Potentially a coincidence. In 1960, the first presidential debate helped John F. Kennedy to win the top job in the world. But the one that I want to argue is that the Chicago River is the only engineered river in the world to flow backwards. For good reason too. But these lads clearly haven't been out the road here to see the 7 Wonders of Four in County Westmeath. Much like the Magic Road in Father Ted, there is a river nearby here that flows uphill. Now Chicago, take that. On the sporting side, you can mention the famous names of the Red Sox on the baseball field, and of course the famous Chicago Bulls team on the NBA court. The NBA team were a revelation in the 1990s, with the likes of the great Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman and co, under the great coach Phil Jackson. Their legacy is summed up in the iconic Netflix series The Last Dance. Ashland Gaels GAA is the only ladies GAA club in the region and was founded in 2008. It didn't take long for the club to find success, as they won both the Junior A and Intermediate grades in Chicago in 2011, and since then have won an amazing 9 titles, showing they are a serious outfit. But from their cool website you can tell the club is also a seriously social outfit, and one which is incredibly well run and inviting to players of all abilities. So let's find out a little bit about Ashland Gaels Club in Chicago, a little bit about Raheny, Kilmacud, the Dublin ladies team, and an incredible new product called the Great Grip Gloves. Lovely. First thing, I suppose, lads, I'll let you introduce yourselves to all the listeners, so they know who they're talking to.
Okay, well, my name is Ava Rutledge, and this is...
I'm CJ Higgins, and we're the owners of Great Grip Gloves.
Super, very good. And whereabouts are the two of you guys from?
I'm from Slorgan, Dublin.
And then I'm from Raheny, both Dublin heads.
Two Dublin people, God. I'm sorely outnumbered here already, which is a bad start. So, and I've seen your stuff around on Instagram, and I've seen your TikToks and stuff as well. And we'll have a chat about the gloves for a while soon enough, hopefully. But what's your own GAA backgrounds yourselves?
I currently play for Kilmacud Crokes and the Dublin team as well. I've played with Dublin senior team since about 2015.
Oh.
I've been more of a spectator than anything else, but sure, look, I played for a good few years, and then I had my brother play as well up at the Doves for a while. But I don't know, I never reached the full potential I could have got to. So
left at 21.
Yeah.
Join the club, yeah. At least you got to 21s. I didn't even get that far in my life. So
it's good crack.
It's good crack. Yeah, I do like the spectator role, I have to say. At the moment, it's I let my brother do all the work, which is handy. He's a handy footballer. So, and is it one of you or both of you has experience over in the States with Ashland Gaels? Is that right?
Just me. I actually went over on my J1 Chicago in 2017 and played football with Ashland Gaels. My sister went over 3 years before me and played as well. So I went over with a few of my friends, 2 from the club and 1 from Dublin that I play with now. She plays for Fingallians. I went over and had an absolute ball playing with Ashland Gaels for the summer, so we did.
Very good. And what was the makeup of the club like at the time? What was numbers like?
We actually had a decent turnout. So we had a senior and a junior team, both playing. So over there during the summer, it was there was 2 teams in the senior league. It was Ashland Gaels and Bridget's. So I know a few girls who've gone over to play with Bridget's as well. And both, just everyone says it's just so much fun going over to play. Like, it's such a different experience and a different J1 compared to not playing. But no, it was actually, the training was quite tough. I nearly went to training expecting it to be like, handy walk in the park at the start. But I think my first session was running up hills and doing fitness, which is a bit of a shock in the heat over there. But no, it was really enjoyable. Then every Sunday there was a match. And then after you headed into Gaelic Park and had a bit of crack and everything. So no, it was really good fun.
That's cool, yeah. You didn't get the same type of, you weren't made run up and down hills in Still Oregon, no?
No, thankfully not. I don't think I'd have lasted if we were made to do that.
Yeah. And what was with the club with Ashland Gaels, it's kind of a running theme, I suppose, with a lot of the clubs in America. How were they fixed for an actual ground to train on, or was it competing with a local park? Or
We actually trained in local parks, which is great, but they gave us accommodation that was quite close to the park itself, which made that a bit easier. But no, the pitch itself, like the grounds we were training on, we had the same pitch to train on every week. It wasn't a struggle to try and get pitches. But I think it could have been like a junior American football pitch with goals and stuff to lay out that. But no, it worked for us. And like we did get good numbers of training between both teams. And then there could have been 20 Irish heads of us over there. So no, it was really good training. And we had different matches, different competitions between each other. And so now there was like the Crack Cup we used to do, where it was like all the teams were mixed and 7-a-side. So no, it was brilliant. It was really good.
Crack Cup, that sounds like something that definitely could take off for this side of the world anyway.
I know, yeah.
I don't think it's just an exclusive American thing. But you said you'd like 20 Irish or so. Did you any other counties represented, or?
Loads of different counties. I'm trying to think now. So there's a few: Dublin, Wicklow, Donegal, Mayo, Roscommon.
Any good counties now?
To name a few. No, it was well represented. I think Bridget's as well had a lot of Irish people. So on the pitch at once, you could only have 7 Irish people playing. And then it was rotated, but it was so rough. Like the difference in the standard over there, it was just a lot more physical than it was here. Different refs nearly didn't understand all the rules maybe, but no, but it was a completely different standard. It was tough. It was really tough, especially in the heat. And that's kind of where the idea of the gloves came from was, I always wear gloves. And one of those players, if it's a bone dry, I've always worn gloves. So then I was like, I don't know, wearing the foam gloves over there were adding no benefit at all. So that's where I came up with the idea to go to a local Target or Walmart and try and look for a glove that was a lighter material to use that. And then since I've come home, I've been wearing them every day since, at every session when it's dry. And CGA was trying to say, then why don't we make our own ones and adjust them to GAA and LGFA? So that's where the idea of the gloves came from. We kind of went forward, didn't we?
Yeah. Correct.
Had you trouble in did you have to go down the funding road, sort of raising funds to get it off the ground, or how did it go for you?
Now, to be honest with you, when it comes to creating a product like that, because of how small Glove is, it actually doesn't require that much time or supplies actually invested into it. It's more whatever we're happy with material-wise. That was essentially the base ground, and then just making up the glove. It's a bit of sewing, a bit of stitching, not much to it from there. It's just deciding off of essentially 3 of the factors. 4. It's like the design, what strap would you like, what back material would you like, and what front material would you like. And then obviously the front material for us was pivotal, because to be honest with you, it's very controversial what we're doing, if I'm completely honest with you. But it's good crack. I mean, with regards to her going away to America, like we've chatted about Ashen Gaels and stuff. I'm impressed by how intense the rivalry was when they came back. Like she still has deep-rooted hatred between Bridget's and Ashen Gaels, and it shows every once in a while. I think Sean McMahon from the Dublin team, was it?
He was over here playing, yeah.
He went over to Bridget's, and Ava had a little. I'd be close mates with Sean, and Ava had like a little dig at Sean, being like, "What are you doing going to the local rivals?" Well, it's
like insane. I know there's rivals over here between different counties, all Dublin and Meath, but like it is next level over there between, especially when there's only 2 teams in the senior championship and you played each other every week. We played Bridget's 6 times, say, and we beat them every week. And then the 7th match was the final and they won, and then they went to the North Americans. So there was uproar. Even if you saw them on nights out, you'd nearly be like, look, and giving each other filthies and everything. Like, it was really intense.
That answers the question about who your nearest rivals are anyway. I don't need to ask about that one. Is it kind of a good few clubs that kind of said there? I've noticed a lot of intense rivalries coming out, especially in America, more so probably than maybe in Europe as well, but definitely in America. Is it something you leave on the pitch and it's your standard GA afterwards? It's good crack, or is yours so intense you can't even get on with them?
No, it is. It's really good crack after, but you have to avoid them. It's not like here you know, after match you'd be up chatting to people, because you might know people from college and stuff here, or I don't know, especially if you're playing club matches, you might know them from the county team, and it's very friendly, I suppose, especially in Dublin anyway, because it's quite a close community. But over in America, obviously, especially the Irish going over, unless you knew another Irish person on the British team, you don't know them at all. And the Americans are very much like, so, well, Ashen Gaels are anti-Bridget and vice versa. There'd normally be scraps happening after matches and stuff. So no, it's so different over there, because there's serious rivalry. Like even after the matches, you wouldn't look at them. Even if you're in the clubhouse after, because everyone goes in Gaelic Park, everyone goes in and has drinks after, but you wouldn't look at them, like, you know, which was just
that's pretty intense.
Yeah, I'd say I knew it was intense. I didn't know it was completely reject the other team.
Literally, no, it was
no
very,
social interaction at
very
all.
competitive. But like we loved it. We just got on board with it, and no, we actually loved that side of it. Because I suppose over here you might lose a match, but you're still friendly with the opposition sometimes. But over there, it's just the complete opposite.
Yeah, Ireland's too small; you can't get away from them. So at least America's a bit bigger. Yeah, oh, that's good. No, I like to hear that, because yeah, I'd be used to, you know, in the classroom, like, you know, encouraging the kids and everything, which, you know, rightly so, to, you know, be nice to the other team and shake hands at the end. There's sometimes though where I'd really want them just to go over and just level the other team and just we'll get back on the bus. But obviously I can't say that. But it's nice to know it does still exist. The world hasn't gone.
I'm sure there's been a few managers you've really wanted to level after the game, where you've just been listening to them jarring from the other side of the pitch, and I just have had enough.
Yeah, I spent a lot of my time behind them on the bench, so I didn't have to bear the brunt of a lot of it, which is fine. And in Dublin, though, it does, even in the primary school level, like I'm teaching in Chapel, it does get it gets competitive on the sideline, I've noticed, which I never thought would happen. But yeah, I've learned to hold my ground a little bit more anyway. So so my main point is, don't go to Ashen Gaels unless I'm ready for a fight, basically. So so far, yeah. And did they have much, the Americans in the club over there, did they have much interest in following the GAA and following the Sunday game?
Oh yeah, massively. Every Sunday we'd have gone out after, I suppose, our games, and they'd all have, like, I have relations over in Chicago, and I went to stay with them for a week while I was there, and like they have all the networks to be able to watch any GAA matches played, and I think it's kind of like a novelty as well with the different time differences, and you know, in different communities, when they felt like, I don't know, my uncle or my cousin over there is from Mayo, but I think he knows that the Mayo people there, so they'd come together to watch the matches and stuff. So there was a nice sense of community about that as well.
Must have been a great form the other week, so was he?
Right, don't mention.
I was about to say, Jesus, that is
Don't mention the war. The time zone thing is pretty fun. I remember getting up to watch when I was over in Las Vegas, getting up to watch a match at, I don't know what time in the morning. Then the other side in Australia, then, you know, it's kind of the same. So and your own, I suppose I have to ask, since you're here, the Dublin career, how has that been going for you? Obviously not a bad county to be playing with, in fairness.
No, it has. It's been great. I played underage Dublin. I've known a few of the girls for years and just made really, really close friends. So no, it's been really enjoyable since I think I made my league debut in 2015 and did make my championship one until 2019. So there was a bit of a time difference there, but no, I've really enjoyed the whole journey and the girls and everything. It's enjoyable to be around, and everyone has the same goal in mind. So yeah, no, I really enjoy playing Dublin.
Do you remember the debut in 2019?
Yeah, it was the Leinster final. So it was against Westmeath.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, is that against us? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a rugby time frame there. But
in my head I was there going, 2019, I think we were in Leinster Day, but I didn't want to, in case I was totally off the mark. What happened in that game, dare I ask?
Well, we won in the end. It was a tough game. Westmeath, we've always, because it was just ourselves and Westmeath in the Leinster Championships for the last few years. It's been tough, but we're seeing Meath now come up to kind of add to a bit of the rivalry with Leinster again, which will be tough now going forward. Yeah,
were you involved in the Meath match this year?
I was. I was a sub, but I was involved in the panel.
It was a bit, I don't know what it was like looking at it from the bench, but looking at it on the TV, it was a bit insane in some ways. Do you expect next year then to come back bigger and stronger next year?
Yeah, hopefully there'll be a few things to work on. Like, we knew Meath were going to come out strong. But they really had a brilliant day. You know, they did deserve to win in the end of the day. So no, look, we'll just have to look forward to next year and kind of bring a few of the learnings that we learned this year. As I say, isn't it? If you don't win, you learn. So we'll have to go next year.
I really should have promoted that meat episode of the podcast a bit better a few months ago, because I could have told anybody after that. I was like, they're out to kill, like they're absolutely going to murder anyone. So yeah, I think it was a bit of a shock when they hit some people, especially I think Cork had an awful shock when it happened. That was
so the 4 minutes. That was absolutely insane.
Everyone tuning back in to watch the last 4 minutes, and that was a brilliant match. So it was. The comeback was just incredible. To be fair to me, their story this year has been amazing. To know where they've gone from last year to this year, like even for younger kids and everything in Meath, it is inspiring to see that.
Yeah, and for next year, are you hoping most of the girls for Dublin will be back? Same again.
Yeah, hopefully now. Nothing's really been said. We haven't come together yet to discuss or decide what's going to happen next year. I think everyone needed a bit of headspace. But yeah, hopefully we'll have a few of the same players and younger players and stuff coming up again.
That's good, yeah. There's always a good conveyor belt in Dublin at every age level and every code anyway. So you're definitely well blessed up there, I'd say.
Hopefully now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And CJ, what was you mentioned that you stopped playing before 21s, was it?
Yeah, no, I played up until 21s. I played GAA I did a mixture of football and GAA with Raheny. I actually transferred from the local rivals at a pretty young age, which was very, very ropey. But no, I played till minors, and then what happened with 21s was they were essentially trying not to do 21s team on our second 21s, but we had this absolutely insane panel of players. Like we had Brian Howard, Sean McMahon, those are the two Dublin senior lads, and then we had, I think there was about, when I counted, it was like 8 Dublin minor lads who were on our 21 squad, and I was like, how could the club not allow us to do a 21 team here? This is absolutely outrageous. So I formed the group chat together, and I just got the team, got the band back on the wheels, and I went for a few managers, and I don't think there was essentially much of like a get together vibe at all. I think people were just like, just a bit sick of it. But I really dug my heels into the ground. I was like, we have too good of a team not to put forward for a 21s championship. And then when 21s ended, I really enjoyed 21s because it was the same squad that I grew up. So like we had, I'd say 20 players. We had 30 players in the panel because everyone wanted to be a part of that 21s team, because it was like this glorious year where you get every 20 years maybe if you're lucky. So yeah, we had about 20 of the original players who were there from like under fours. The manager who we had with Dublin who we had with Raheny was absolutely hilarious. Like he's one of our mates' dads, but like it got to a stage where like some of the lads would have said that he's their second dad because he'd just been with them since they were under fives. But he was just so sociable and so good when it comes to player welfare that he kept everybody on the entire 10 years. And it was mass credit to him, and he sort of got a bit shoved out towards the end. Now I don't know if it's because he didn't want to be involved, or it was a case of the senior management team wanted to slowly integrate the under 21s to senior football. Okay. But it was just it was just a weird year in terms of trying to get everyone on board, everyone rejecting it, and then the second one person said, yeah, I'll do it, everybody tried to jump back onto the ship. Look, what I will say is it led to a smooth transition for a lot of lads going from essentially underage to seniors. And to be fair, that Raheen team, when it got the full panel and the full Dublin lads back, like they're a very good squad. It's just whenever they're not together, it's like the core midfield and the core centre are missing, and it's quite difficult to essentially manage without them. So
yeah, it didn't sound like your average bunch of players anyway. So
yeah, jeez. Look back on it, there is a lot of regret that we didn't win anything. To be honest.
I was going to say it's quite the assembly of players that you probably put together up there. So look, at least you gave it a go anyway to get it back together. Yeah. That's the main thing. So
look, the lads were a good crack, to be fair to them, and it wasn't a completely social orientated thing because it was quite high level players. But at the end of the day, like we formed the squad just in the intention of having a bit of fun, just the final years before you go off to senior and the entire team splits up. So it was sort of like the last hurrah. But I mean, the difficulty was we actually went to the B Championship that year. I don't know why. There was a lot of management things going on.
Wow.
Discuss it, but like we unfortunately were in the same age group of Ballymun, who had 16 Dublin minor players when they were playing minors, and it was like Christy. I actually forgot his second name. He was like the Dublin minor manager, was also the Ballymun manager at the time. Now it's not taking like lads. All lads deserve to be on that team. Like that panel of Dublin lads from our minor age group were absolutely insane. Like it was like Evan Comfort, Paddy Smalls, and then there's a few more lads who probably should actually be up with Dublin right now, but aren't. But I mean, it just is what it is. Like it's funny, when we were playing minors, we grew up watching Evan Comfort, and it's like when he was like 16, 17, you could tell he was going to be the next big Dublin superstar. Like you'd put the ball would just have left your foot going for a point, and he'd already be lasering a ball out to Aaron Byrne in midfield. And you just think to yourself, how is this fair? You're 16, you should not be doing this. Like many inter-county keepers wouldn't even be able to do that at this stage.
We brought the Sam Maguire, I know, into our school
very good.
a couple of years ago. Absolute gent as well. Like couldn't have been sounder, you know, offered to come back and talk to the kids and the whole, like pure gentleman. Yeah, I have a lot of time for him, even though his hair looked atrocious with the
I was just about to ask, was he rocking the horrendous hairstyle?
He was, yeah. Now the sixth class girls thought he was, you know, the greatest looking thing ever, but I was like, what is that? Like, I know he's a sound guy in fairness, but there's one other bit just about the Ashland Gaels. I know you're only there on the J1, but did you get much of a sense that the fundraising side is kind of a running theme that's come up with a lot of the clubs in America about the trickiness of fundraising?
I didn't actually. I'm trying to think of different events. I know they held an event. I was kind of late. I actually did an internship in 2017, so I went over maybe the end of June. So I was kind of late going over, but I think they did run kind of a day, kind of a summer camp kind of day like that. A family day out, basically. I know a few of the Irish heads did give a hand, but even I follow a few of the girls still on Instagram now, but it's still the core group from Ashland Gaels.
Yeah.
They seem to be doing a lot as well. I know they had like a dress-up match there the other day. It just seems like great fun.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually get to participate in any of the fundraising at the time while I was there. No.
Okay. Not so bad. And is there a standout memory or story or anything from the time there? Usually everyone who's there has at least one thing that comes into their head.
Podcast friendly.
I was just going to say.
You can mention whatever. No one gives a shit. It's fine.
But no, we just had constant crack. Like, you know, you'd go training, you'd just be laughing. We all kind of integrated well between the Irish people coming in and the Americans that were there as well. They're also nice, even bringing us out to their houses, going to different parties as well. I'm trying to think now, is there one standout moment? There was one where, like, on the pitch, when it was literally got so physical against Bridget's, I was like, put to the ground. I was ruffling and tussle with my marker, and that was fine. And then my club mate from home, she was a sub, but she came on for me about 10 minutes ago, run straight up and decks the poor girl on the ground. And like, two Bridgets, I think, rugby tackled towards the ground and we're not letting her up, and like had her in a headlock. And like the game goes on, there's nothing, cards are given. But I just remember that was one kind of standout moment in terms of the football side of things. And we still talk about it now and laugh about it because it was just insane. Like, you'd be red carded and like banned from the game forever over here if you did something like that. But it was just wrestling and punches thrown to the ground. But just seeing her run on, subbing me off, and her running on with her fist in her hand like that, ready to go just to knock them out.
That's brilliant, yeah, because I had the Madrid Harps GAA team on last night, and there's almost like a hashtag Justice for Jordan campaign started after it, where Megan was telling the story. This poor girl, Jordan, it was her debut. She barely knew the rules of the game, and she ended up getting sent off in an exhibition match, which I thought was wildly unfair. So you've gone total opposite, where someone has just punched a decked a girl, which I it's also fantastic in such a different way, but
I know it was still be talking about it now. It just shows how it actually was just, maybe it had to be their moment, but it was honestly just hysterical. But yeah, you get some refs, like you get a ref could be a young lad over from Ireland, also playing one of the other teams and playing later on that day, because it was like a whole day of matches between all the women's and the GAA as well. But they'd ref, and like the odd time they might be like, you know, like if we'd be like, ref, like that's ridiculous, that's a card, and they'd be like, okay, they pull a yellow card out, and we'd be like, you have to get off now for 10 minutes, and like they'd be like, that's not the rule, and we'd be like, yes, there was no sin bin, like they didn't know like all the LGFA rules. So that was kind of like the only time you might see a card come out, but there was no action against the sin bin or anything like that.
That's class. Yeah, that's a good story to add to the list anyway, for sure. Is there what's a good night out like with the Ashton Gaels then?
Oh, it was brilliant, but it's just like, it's funny. I found like a lot of Dublin people, even from people from school, went over to Chicago as well. They weren't playing football, but every night of the week there was like a different location. Like, I don't know how it spread, but it was like different Irish nights out. So you could walk in and just think you're in the middle of Coppers. Like, it was just like, you'd see everyone, you know. There was Joe's every Tuesday, and you'd get like a $1 pitcher of Bud and stuff like that, which is brilliant. But it was nearly like a water fight. You'd come out drenched in Bud. People would just be pouring the pitchers like on top of everyone.
But for $1, it's probably
literally. I'm trying to think. There was a name of the bar. Vaughn's is where we used to go with the Ashton Gaels teams, and that was always the best fun. Like, you know, it'd be in the middle of nowhere, and we'd all be trekking out from the city, and it was just like this random Irish pub, and it was just unbelievable crack.
That's brilliant. What about do you keep in touch with them at the moment? What's their current situation with COVID and stuff hopefully disappearing? How are they getting on?
Well, I haven't been talking to any of them individually about the football side of things and COVID, but it seems like they are out training away, which is good.
Their fancy dress thing looked interesting anyway.
I know, didn't it? It's FOMO now when I see things like that go up. I'd love to go back over again and see them play. But
if you got the chance, would you go back at some point?
Yeah, I'd love to if the chance occurred. I mean, if I was to live abroad, I'd like Chicago. I loved it for the 3 months that we were there. I definitely would consider going back there again. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, certainly it sounds like a good club. I'm loving the rivalry with Bridget's. That's definitely the main thing I've taken from Ashton Gaels versus Bridget's is a rivalry like no other.
Anytime someone's saying, did you play football when you were away? And you're telling them, yeah, but you have to go to Ashton Gaels. And then you'd have someone else, Laura McGinley, who'd be one of my friends on the Dublin team. She went to Bridget's, and she also sounded like she had an amazing summer too. But I'm like, you couldn't possibly go to Bridget's. Like, you have to go to Ashton Gaels. So they've such a rivalry with us now as well. Like Laura's like, no, it's completely different J1 if you go to Bridget's. And I'm like, no, it's so different. You have to go to Ashton Gaels. But it still goes on to this day in Dublin. People arguing whether it's Ashton Gaels or Bridget's. And I'm sure it's the same with the lads as well, to be fair.
Yeah, that's class. And then there's a little bit of kind of a quick fire round that I do with everybody before I'll talk to you a little bit about the gloves. Then I'm dying to find out a little bit more about them, since I have a pair here beside me as well, which is handy. The quick fire round, CJ, who would be? I'm going to change it around a little bit just now that you guys have a bit of a lot of local and county club and all that experience. Who would be the tough nut at your club?
Tough nut.
Yeah, there's always one at every club.
Quick fire.
Yeah, we had a guy called...
doesn't have to be that quick.
Who I would have grown up with is a lad called Aaron Kelly, and you wouldn't want to get on the bad side, if I'm completely honest with you.
Okay.
My lad, to be honest, had a horrendous time with injury, so I think he's taken a step back this year, but it's like every year he'd have his knee have something wrong with him. But Jesus, if he was firing on all cylinders, I'd recommend stepping back a few inches.
Okay, I like that. And what about a Kilmacud then? Who should we look out for?
If you're looking out on the senior ladies team, Michelle Davern, 100%.
Okay.
Big fat full forward.
Is that club and county or?
Yeah, Michelle was actually up in the county team this year.
Yeah, that's right. No, I was wondering where you're going. Is she Kilmacud, is she?
Or she's Kilmacud.
Oh, okay.
If I think a tough nut, 100% between Crokes and Dublin is Lauren McGee. You do not want to get on the wrong side of her.
Her father is
Johnny, yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to get the wrong side of him either.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, yeah, for sure. What did actually, it crossed my mind mentioning tough nuts. Hannah Tyrrell
made her way onto that panel and seemed to take the team by storm. How did that come about? I don't remember being on it before.
Actually, when I first came up in the Dublin team, it could have been like the end of minor. I kind of came up and did like a bit of development training for maybe 3 months, summer after 6th year. But Hannah was the Dublin sub goalie.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So she would have played, I think she played international soccer as a goalie. And she's kind of a Lindsay Peat playing all the different codes. But she just came on. So we played her last summer. She went back and played with Nafina, her local club in Dublin, and we would have played her in club championship. And we saw her come out in the pitch. We were like, oh no. Just after like a weekend of Irish rugby, we're like, she'll be flying fit. And we've been there drinking during COVID. We were like, oh no. But yeah, she really excelled even from that up to Dublin then. I suppose her fitness came from rugby as well. She'd been training way with him, and her kicking and stuff like that. Like, she's an amazing free taker, which didn't do us too well against our championship match last week. But no, she's a brilliant player, a great teammate, and overall.
She brings a lot of her skills from rugby over to GAA, which is interesting. I always try and see her trying to do little hands-offs in terms of the second she gets the ball, she wants to get it away. Literally, she actually doesn't even want to hold on to the ball to drag the player onto her. Like, I think they played Waterford. There's about 3 or 4 clips where she literally has Keith O'Connor, the ball gets fed into her, and she passed the ball off, I'd say less than a second after having the ball. And it always works out right.
She's pop passing in rugby basically in GAA as well. So okay, that's good to know. The club or county songs karaoke. Could be Ashland Gaels, could be Dublin, could be Kilmacud, could be Raheny, could be anybody.
Song that always comes up is "It's Not Fair" by Lily Allen.
Oh God, yeah, okay, that's definitely a first. That's an unusual choice. I've never heard that one come up before.
That is definitely one that's blared the odd time with county anyway.
Yeah. Okay. And then with Raheny, I actually wouldn't be able to tell you, to be completely honest.
I have to call the lads.
The lads would be the lads would rock up to a game with a massive amp and just piss off, I think, everybody within I'd say 10 kilometers of the local area, just playing whatever is on anyone's mind, essentially. So like, I remember we rocked up to a game up in Oliver Plunkett's, and just this mammoth of a speaker rocked up, and I was just thinking, we have interconnecting doors with the Plunkett's teams. And I'm thinking to myself, the lads in Plunkett's must absolutely hate us right now, because there's no way they're hearing anything, because I can't hear anything. And the person beside me has gone deaf about 5 minutes ago. How is anything being organised in that club at all?
That's good tactics, actually. So
it is,
words in, yeah.
You didn't have any of the Brogans or Sean Bugler or someone coming out and telling you to shut up now.
Yeah, fair.
They were my local team for a good while when I lived in Dublin. I lived in Ashtown. They were my local team, and then when we bought up in Clonsilla, then I was kind of transferred between a few different clubs to go and stand on the sideline to watch. But Cushendall had built their grounds in recent years. So before I moved out of Dublin a year ago, it was nice to go to Cushendall. So you could definitely bring up an amp there and blare it out, because sure the hotel would be delighted. So they'd love that.
Getting transferred, did you find it difficult, or was
I wasn't playing. I only mean just literally, there was some lads who wanted to go watch, go to games on the Navan Road, others who wanted to go up to Castleknock, others who wanted to go further, and I just said, well, I'll stick with Castleknock. It was nearby, and just going to them. No, transfer. My Dublin career is probably one of those ones, that'll be written in history books. I went out to Clonee and ended up in the Meath Junior B leagues for about 6 months, and then I said, no, my legs aren't able for this anymore, so I quit. I think my last game I ended up in Dunsany. I couldn't find that on the map in Meath now, if you ask me, but I said no.
Is that where Rob is right now, or where?
No, Rob is in Louth in Cooley Kickham's up in Louth. I could have done with a teammate like him or someone, but I wasn't able further, afraid.
Terrifying sight, being a defender and watching Rob Carney come onto the market, to be completely honest.
Yeah, the jersey is still like, you wouldn't take him down in the jersey, and you wouldn't grab his jersey because it's stuck to him. It looks like it's painted onto him. So but yeah, apparently he's doing all right up there. What others have I got here? Oh yes, either of you can shout out this one. Are you part of the Marty Party or the Des Cahill fan club?
Marty party, 100%.
Yeah, Marty's quite involved with the girls, so there'd be a lot of betrayal going on Ava's end if she wasn't to shout out Marty.
Okay. Yeah, it's good to know. I think I'm going to have to stop asking this question because poor Des is not coming out of this very well after about 50 or 60 chats. His vote numbers are quite low, I won't lie.
If your name's Marty Party, you're sort of getting a natural advantage as it is from the offset.
Yeah, I've got that. Even teams in Australia and in Asia and stuff who hadn't heard of him just went, "Oh, I like the name Marty Party. That sounds pretty good." Who's the toughest team either of you have ever faced in your careers?
Growing up playing Dublin underage, it always would have been Galway, and that has kind of come into play in the senior scene there recently as well. I suppose at Dublin competitively it would be Cork, Galway, Donegal. There's loads competitive for everyone. And Meath obviously then this year, and I think Meath will be a team that we could have good rivalry with now going forward, especially in Leinster.
Yeah,
considering they're also young as well, it's not a great sign. But
yeah, it's if they're able to keep that fitness level up, they play the final. They'll be in the final nearly every single year they play.
Split Meath in two.
Yeah.
You said it.
East Meath and West Meath. I think they already split in two, and I think we ended up in one part of it somehow. Okay, they're good teams. Which so I go for. I suppose Ava, this is kind of for you perhaps with the girls and Ash and Gaels, but your greatest standout memory with the club. Apart from that girl absolutely decking your one.
It's really hard to top that if I'm completely honest.
It really is, yeah.
I think there's loads, but I just think a standout memory would be those nights we had in Vaughan's in the pub. There was too many of them to name all the different nights, but I always just think like the summer was just like the best fun had in Vaughan's. So that would be that.
Sounds good. Vaughan's always was a good show. It's also the pub in Father Ted as well, which brings me to your next question. What is your favourite Father Ted episode?
You can go with this one.
The Christmas special will always be up there.
So, yeah.
When they're trying to lead them out, the Brad farmers is it's one of the top scenes of Irish television ever, if I'm completely honest. Brilliant,
yeah. Love that one. Hats, flags, scarves, or headbands? You can pick one.
Headbands. 100%.
I have a photo of myself, my brother always playing with Dublin, and I got a massive flag in the background, so I'm gonna have to stick to that, say loyal to the flag.
Okay, you're one of those put the flag in everyone's faces kind of people.
Yeah.
I hate those people. Yep. Okay, that's one more for the flags and one more for the headband. So, and then this one kind of puts people on the spot, especially probably for the likes of you guys with such a knowledge and vested interest in the GAA, but the greatest GAA player ever in your lifetime?
I think for me, growing up, there's obviously a few Dublin players that I looked up to, male and female. Like Lindsay Pete was always my go-to inspiration, but I think the Gooch was just a level of class that I was like, if it wasn't Dublin playing, I was supporting Kerry just for the Gooch.
Okay.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the biggest players for me.
I think for myself, I mean, now not looking up to, but if you look at Brian Fenton now, what he's doing, when people look back on it in 10 years, people will be like, this is absolutely nuts. And maybe I am biased because he's Raheny and he's a local lad, but like I was watching him play against Whitehall there in the championship last Friday, and Jesus, just how vocal he is on a pitch. Like you're on a sideline and you're about to start togging out just to go and help him because of how vocal and just how inspiring he is for the lads. Like the two Ryans just rile that team up one by one. But I think the longevity of Brian Fenton over the last 6 years, like I know this year has been a bit rough, but if you can name 3 games on a hand, like 3 games over the past 5 years where he's actually not been the greatest, I genuinely be impressed.
Yeah, I probably couldn't. Yeah, that was his first defeat in championship, I think, wasn't it? This season. First time he's lost a game. Yeah, his record is nearly as good as mine. Anyway.
Look, we technically have a 100% record, so I mean that's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
my record at county level is 100%. No games, no wins. So it's a fantastic record. I'm very proud of it as well. And there's a couple of Chicago themed ones as well, which I throw in for every city or every town. So you can choose between the Chicago Home Insurance Skyscraper, which was the world's first ever skyscraper, or the Spire.
The Spire, you can't go wrong with that.
I thought you'd choose the Spire. Yes, what a shitty choice.
That's the biggest tourist attraction in Europe. Why wouldn't I go for it?
Yes, of course, obviously, yeah.
You have to love the decision making behind that, lads. What are we going to do to get a bunch of people into Ireland to go and watch this tourist attraction? Let's just make a giant pole and put it in the middle of our city.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions about a lot of things around Ireland, but anyway, that's definitely one of them. Chicago or Dublin, Ava?
Dublin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dublin. Yeah, good enough. And Lake Michigan or Lough Neagh, Ireland's finest lake?
Sure, we were not long ago. Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan, good. Okay. And then let's get on to the great grip gloves, because I can testify that the grip on them is astounding. Because I wore them to five-a-side the other night, which I know you're looking for the GAA market, but I decided, since it was my first five-a-side game in years, that I said I need to be safe here and bring some gloves. So the last five-a-side game I played, I was stretchered to hospital. So I didn't want the same thing happening again. So yeah, the grip on them is pretty astonishing. I feel great because I can pick up full-size football with one hand, which I never could do in my life. So where did the idea come from, or what inspired you to take up this venture?
So when I came back from America, obviously I was wearing the gloves that I'd bought on my J1. And like that, I've worn them every time it's been dry since. And I was like, it's probably time I get a new pair of gloves. And CJ, for about a few years, was always egging me on to just, why don't we make our own design, or why don't you make your own? So we took the idea of the glove that I was wearing and kind of transformed it and adjusted it to the GAA. And yeah, we started up in June and kind of went from there. We've had great success so far with some of the county players wearing them, club players. We've turned a few heads. A lot of people are like, you don't need gloves when it's dry. And then they try them and they change their minds a bit. Yeah. So we're still kind of breaking into that and trying to get people to be a bit more open-minded towards them and to trying them. But yeah, that's kind of how it started anyway, from Ashen Gales and from my time over there.
And what's the science behind the grip on it? Did you have to do much research into that? Because it's quite strong, in fairness, the grip on it.
Yeah, so how we base it, this thing called it's like the coefficient of friction. So the idea is, if a object is moving, say about 10 kilometers an hour, and it's going across the surface, how quickly is that ball moving when it exits the surface? So it's like we took that off the ball and we put it against the palm, and then we put it against our gloves, and we realized there was about a 20% increase in terms of, decrease in speed, which essentially meant that there's about 20% increase in grip, because it means that there is essentially traction dragging the ball back. So we saw that as, say if a ball is being driven into you and it's spinning, if your hand tries to stop that ball, that friction of the ball spinning against your hand reduces speed, making it easier to catch. We did a good bit of research on it. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't too sticky to the stage where it was actually slightly and a completely unfair advantage to players.
Or affecting the skills, because a lot of people will always ask, what if I'm soloing the ball or hand passing? Is it slower, or does it stick? So we had to look into that a bit as well.
Yeah. So when we sort of dusted up all the research of it, we were actually quite happy with the results in terms of, will this affect individual players' skills? Will it essentially take over in terms of you can't play without the gloves? We want everyone to wear the gloves, but I think it just adds such a weird dynamic to the game in terms of, people want to see better players, and they want to see people play better, and they want to see people reach their peak of how good they can be. And we would like to believe that these will be something that within 5 to 10 years, everyone will be wearing, because it's just the natural. Currently there's a stigma against them where it's people don't like wearing gloves as it is, let alone gloves during dry weather. And if you try to convince people of this, they're going to turn around to you and go, you're absolutely insane saying that. But like, as we said, the second you give someone a pair of gloves and they try and pick up a football that they've never been able to pick up before, you have this look of shock in their face where they're like, hang on, this isn't a complete scam.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Like, as I just said there, I think a lot of people think it's currently just a scam. The idea is people are just trying to make money off this, but there genuinely is a pretty good backing towards it. And I mean, all the reviews we get off people who have paid for gloves is really what keeps us going, because you have all these people who are really at a sort of really high level of football, and they're turning around to you and they go, geez, lads, this is actually something that I could vouch in terms of moving on and trying to get somebody else on board with them. Like, we had the Clontarf ladies football team, their entire team bought a pair as like a great border now. Obviously we'd be quite close to Clontarf, but either way it was still a big investment by them, and we saw them in championship playing against Foxcad there on the weekend. Unfortunately they lost, but it was great to see a group of people wearing something that you made, if you get me. So
have you made sure all the rival clubs get, you know, dodgy pairs and you take the good grip off?
When I was now we're in the Dublin Championship, and I'm like, people shouldn't be allowed to wear the gloves when they're playing against them, because that's not fair.
Whoever you're marking probably wearing a pair, you just try and rip them off their hands and see what they say then. Have you had what about I saw the likes of, there's like Murren Atkinson. I've seen quite a few names sort of wearing them.
Kicked it off. She's probably one of the first county players, was she, to wear them. And to be honest, Monaghan is our biggest market. Like, every day you'd get an order from Monaghan. Honestly, I don't know how many people in Monaghan have pairs, but that a lot of it stems from Murren Atkinson. She's been great, hasn't she? She's been spreading the word up there.
So Mern got a pair, and she was like, I always wore wet the gloves while it was dry. She was saying her fingers were quite stumpy, which was a bit funny.
She didn't say that. She said that she broke her finger once, so she always wears gloves for extra protection.
Okay.
So we sent her up a pair, and not that they're stumpy. So she liked them, and since then, like, a few of the I think she coaches the Cromartin senior lads, maybe just a bit of S&C with them. So an order for like 9 of them went in straight away nearly after she started wearing them. And there's a few of the senior ladies as well up in Monaghan wearing them too. So hopefully soon enough we'll have a few senior men up there in Monaghan wearing them, hopefully.
So I think there's massive stigma behind it, where it's like, oh, I don't need something giving me an advantage. And once we essentially get around that, like Miriam was saying to us that loads of people keep on slagging her whenever she's wearing them, being like, oh, it's good to see your magic gloves didn't work today, which we just got laughing. And Miriam's really good sports, and Miriam took it like a champion. And like, instead of her like getting a bit upset by him and like putting him away because she's afraid that people were judging her for it, she literally turned around to us going, I love it. I love all the beef that I get for wearing the gloves. Like, it's absolutely hilarious. If you ever get the opportunity to have a chat with Murren Atkinson, I heavily recommend it. She's one of the funniest people we've ever met, I'd say.
Okay.
But no, it's good. I mean, Murren spread the word, and then off the back of that, like the intercounty players we had Sarah Rowe wearing them. Hannah Tyrrell was wearing them because she's absolutely incredible at football. Like, she arguably probably would have got player of the year if the Dogs won the All-Ireland this year with ladies. But like,
a few of the Dublin girls wearing them.
And what about around the country? Who else have you got on board at the moment?
We had 3 Leitrim girls, or more than after, but Claire Owens, Alba Clancy, Anya Heslin from Leitrim, who were there, 3 of their key players. And then we had Andrea O'Sullivan from Limerick, who's their unreal number 11. And then we had Aisling Desmond, Aisling O'Connell from Kerry.
Aisling O'Connell's another fantastic player, so have a watch out for her next year. So she's 97, but she really took a step up this year. Because of the gloves, what's nice about it is we get to watch a lot more of the games, because it's like, well, there's actually reasons in terms of we have a lot going for it, for watching it. So we've watched, I'd be afraid to count up how many games we've watched this year, just in terms of seeing how people are getting on with the gloves. So
and is this a full-time venture now? Is this your job, or do you have?
We're both working at home at the minute. So when we first started, PJ was kind of working a bit more part-time, so he had more time to get the website up and running. And then it's just been busy. It's trying to get things done in the evening, orders done at lunchtime, and just a lot of work and content done at the weekend to try and make midweek a bit easier. We've enjoyed it. We've thoroughly enjoyed it from the get-go.
What's nice is that once you have the product established, it's more just shipping them off. And because of how the packaging is, it's literally just an envelope with a couple of little bits here and there, and you just fire it in. So it doesn't take too long per individual order. It's more just if we're looking to expand.
Get your nice bag as well.
We're working on that.
Yeah, we're working on that.
I'm very happy with mine. It's fine.
No, but we are currently essentially merging into the new market. So we are heavy believers that a lot of kids will go into GAA, but they won't be trained correctly from a young age. So we've essentially drawn up gloves that are designed to target youth markets. So be tutorial-based gloves based on colors. So the idea is on the back of it, you'd have like the W that you're told that's how you're supposed to catch a ball. And then on the front of it, and the fingertips and on the palms, where you're supposed to actually hand pass the ball, they're colored based off of what part of your finger you're supposed to hit the ball with. So, as I said earlier on, I looking at it from a sports science type side, like there's a lot more sports science that's come into GAA of late in terms of nutritional
GPS
side,
and all that as well.
GPS. I think there's going to be a massive revolution over the coming few years. And I think people will resist it, as everyone says. But it's a case of it's going to happen. Like, it's just a matter of time. And I think the GAA will become a lot more commercialized, especially with Sky Sports buying it over. But I think the GAA has been behind, but it will be caught up on very quickly just because of how many teams are trying to apply, essentially, even just from statistics standpoints. Like, if you go down to a senior football game nowadays, I'd be amazed if you get less than 50% of games having a camera record the entire game. Just teams to take stats on. Stuff like that 5 years ago, you wouldn't even imagine of having a camera on a game.
Not at a club game, no.
I think as people try and get more and more, I'd say, tactical with their essentially management and stuff like that, you'll have a lot more products spring up that are trying to enhance the individual players' abilities and their skills. So,
and that's where you guys come in.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. I think our hope is that we have the dry weather gloves and people actually go, hang on, this is a fair enough point. Like, we have dry weather boots whenever the surface is essentially molds. If the surface is wet, we have moldies. So opposite. Opposite. But, if we're able to establish that same idea with the gloves, it'd be amazing. But I mean, we always like to keep an eye out for stuff, either here, across the pond, AFL, see what the new thing is over there and see if it can be translated in some form or manner over to the GAA. Because, I mean, how we see it is, if the individual player's ability is better, it makes it more entertaining to watch. And if we can, I mean, not even if we can do it, if somebody else introduces it, it allows us essentially to enjoy the game that we've watched and we've grown up watching for years to become a lot more enjoyable.
And you think with those kids clubs you're talking about, like a big thing around all the clubs around the world. I'm just thinking of like the guys in Argentina, like San Isidro and stuff, all these ones who are trying to start a kids unit, for kids who have never seen a Gaelic football. Like, the idea of having the gloves that literally for a teacher essentially teaches them what to do, like that can only be invaluable, like, to so many people around the world, never mind just in Ireland. So is the international market something you're looking into? Or?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Like, we have a few more products that we've lined up now to hopefully maybe launch in the new year that will help kind of, looking at kids and how they can improve certain skills by using certain products. But I suppose the idea of the kids gloves as well is that every kid learns differently, and hopefully like this kind of visual learning and having it on their hands, because even like up till nearly minor, I was still hand passing with the wrong side of my hand, and like with county training, we still work on hand passing every session, a bit of skills and stuff like that. So things like that, if you could start them younger, and just skills from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the, tell me and I forget, but involve me and I remember kind of thing. And even something on their hands, like I know as a teacher, anything tactile just automatically makes things a lot easier. So yeah, I think you've definitely got something worthwhile anyway, by the sounds of it, especially on the kids side. So yeah. Is there where should people go looking for your gloves? Where's the best places to contact you?
Well, we're on TikTok and Instagram, where we have our website link in bio there. Do you want to go to the website link?
Yeah, so it's Great Grip gloves.shop is the link to the website as well. As I said, we don't currently have the kids gloves in yet, but I'd say in the next month we should probably be releasing them. So
well, by the time this goes out, 9th of December, hopefully this will go out. So hopefully by then they'll be in stock.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're out of stock. If I'm completely honest.
Out of stock, brilliant, even better. Yeah. So anyone listening, if they're out of stock, that's a good sign. Just give it a couple of days, they'll be back in again.
Yeah.
Okay, so TikTok, Instagram, and then greatgripgloves.shop is the website.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions or anything, they can always just message us, DM us on either of those social medias, or our emails are actually in our link tree as well on Instagram. So we'll always come back to you.
So always check it out. Great grip gloves for anyone who's listening. They're well worth it. I can testify to that. My pair is probably stuck to the side of the gear bag as I speak. The grip is so strong in it. So is there anything else people should know about them before I let you guys go?
Just a lot of people unfortunately don't understand that when it's wet, it can't be worn. And honestly, the amount of people who've messaged us going, here, these don't work when it's wet. It's just like, we really appreciate you purchased a pair of our gloves, but unfortunately, they're pretty restricted if it's wet. We always recommend a player keep either a pair of their wet weather gloves in their back shorts, just as a quick swap around if it does get wet. So, I mean, that'd be our only other recommendation with regards to that. Yeah.
We will be launching a pair of normal foam gloves, so to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
Soon enough again. Nice. Hopefully by the 9th of December, they'll be nearly out of stock too.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's amazing. Guys, thank you so much for giving up some of your evening. I really appreciate it. It's brilliant to hear all about Ashton Gaels and Great Grip Gloves and Dublin and Raheny and Kilmacud and everything else. It's been great crack. If there is anything else you need or anything you want, anything you put up, I'm more than happy pass it around as many people as I can and try and get the gloves.
Really appreciate it, and thanks for taking us today and having to listen to two dubs probably wasn't too easy, so appreciate it.
Look, I teach in Chapel Izard. I'm used to hearing 250 dubs every day. It's grand, it's no different. So but I think the 9th of December is hopefully when this will be going out. You guys will be right after Madrid by the looks of it, all going well. So it's been fantastic, and look, keep in touch on everything. I've seen the TikToks, keep me on the WhatsApp, the Instagram. No, it's great. I've already gotten kind of into it myself. I haven't actually done one myself. It's always just been the videos I've made to promote the podcast episode. So you're much braver than I am, put it that way.
I love cheers for honestly. It's
really
absolutely flown in, if I'm completely honest with you.
Oh God, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's I had a good time, I must say.
Thank you for so everything. It's been so good.
Yeah, not at all. And keep in touch, and I'll chat to you guys soon again.
Will do.
Take it easy, Slán. Thanks a million. Bye. Slán. Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice.
Maybe one Irish fella in there, and there might be one Aussie. Actually, whenever they get together, there's Aussie John, who's about 70 at this stage, and he's been around since they started up, and he's still, when we play friendly games, he'd still lace up boots, and he's a great character. But you know what? It's wonderful to see that, and I'm sure when you've chatted to other clubs around the world, my wife is French Canadian, is Quebecois as well, and she's come out and played over the years with the ladies here in Ottawa. But when you see, a team that's talking to each other in French, and they're all into it. They love this game. A lot of them would never have seen it up until the last year or two, but they've embraced it. They found a game that they love, and they're great fun. A bunch of them were down here for a friendly tournament we had a few weeks ago, and they're coming on in leaps and bounds. So
coming up next Monday on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, GAA Global, on Slice 45, I chat to Kerry from Ottawa and of Antrim,
and Dermot from Galway, and find out all about Ottawa Gaels GAA and the Canadian GAA County Board as a whole. I'll find out all about the club's origins, Kerry's Cushendall and Antrim days, the East Canada GAA scene of Montreal, Quebec, Toronto, Prince Edward Island and others, the visit of Joe McDonagh to Ottawa, playing the great St Mike's teams, the World Games 2023, Aussie John in Quebec, and an incredible story about club stalwart Breda, who played and won a final all while going through cancer treatment, an absolutely inspirational tale. And of course Kerry and Dermot take on the quickfire questions with some very Canadian versus Ireland dilemmas. That's next Monday morning from 9 AM as you continue the journey with 2 slices a week. I'll see you at the arrivals hall, but until then, check out the various clubs on the Instagram page and see all the amazing work they do and some of the nicest GAA gear going. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GAA pod across the globe. Slánagí.